social media in 2023, how bad is it on the industry there, Howard, for photoshopping and all that sort of stuff? How bad is it?
Well, I remember a few years ago, what was the name of the company? I forgot the name of it. Shreds. That was the name of the company. They had somebody on their staff that actually got busted using Photoshop. But I'm sure there's probably some people out there that use Photoshop or some sort of enhancement to make themselves look better. The thing is, social media is a necessary, especially like in the supplement business, I feel, because it's the easiest way, or I guess the most an accessible way in order to promote your product. I use social media. I have people that, including you, Mark, that, can help promote the product. It is, I've had coupon codes for people to get percentage off using them, and I'm looking to get more influencers on it. So it is necessary. I just want people to understand that just because this very, muscular guy or, feminine looking, sexy woman uses a supplement doesn't mean that you're going to look like them. There's a lot of factors in that, them looking that way. One of them could be Photoshop, certainly, that don't even involve the supplements. And what I always get a chuckle out of is you have this supplement, some professional, whatever, brand X supplements the best. And then next year when they have to sign a new contract, brand Y supplements the best. So wait a second, you told me last year brand X was the best. Now you're saying brand Y is the best. And it's because they just went to a new supplement company. And then, so it's like, well, okay, well then how much can I trust your opinion if you're just jumping from one to the other and everyone's the best? I mean, so, it's part of the business now. And some people may get an idea that the supplement is their problem. I mean, the supplement is the solution to their problem, like you were talking about. A pill is going to fix everything. No. A supplement may certainly help in your situation, but you got to put in the work. You got to watch what you're eating. You got to rest properly. You got to work out. I mean, the thing is that I think I said this earlier: eating well, sleeping well, and working out. Other than writing a program or selling meal prep, you can't make money off of that. So it's easier to say, well, here's a supplement here's your fat burner for you. It's like, well, no, it's taking a fat burning pill is not going to help you lose 100 pounds. That's done in the kitchen and sleeping and working out.
Listen, how dangerous is the bodybuilding world?
It can be very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And these professionals will have coaches, and even with coaches, it still gets very, very dangerous. Especially when you're getting close to contests and you have to try to get all that water out, and they're taking diuretics, and then now all their electrolytes are out of balance and everything. And I remember it was Paul Dillett, massive dude, just a monster. I remember on stage his muscles seized up. Now, I don't remember if it was from diuretic, but they had to carry him off the stage. And if you don't have electrolytes, that's what your muscles need in order to contract. And he just here's this 200 something, whatever, this massive dude, and he just seized up on the stage. And then it was another competitor that he actually died on the show. And one of the other bodybuilders, Porter Cottrell was his name. He was a firefighter, and he had to give him CPR, and he died. I think it was also from dehydration. It can be very dangerous. I mean, you're already getting the body down to low body fat levels that it's not meant to be at.
Yeah.
As Mr. Powers mentioned, your body needs fat. It's there for a reason. Your body needs it. Now you're basically starving your body to burn as much body fat as possible for this show that takes place, whatever, for 1 day or 2 days, if it's the Arnold Classic and the Mr. Olympia. But you're also dehydrating yourself, and the body's not meant to do that. That's why it's so hard to get in that condition, because the body doesn't want to do that. So
it's like all of these powerlifters, and I mean, I've got somebody that I follow on Instagram, and she's only like 5'4", and she's a powerlifter, and the amount of weight that this girl is lifting at 5'4", it cannot be good for your joints and your body, can it?
I'd say it depends. It's powerlifters don't have the same issues or challenges that bodybuilders do, because they, in fact, you have one of the greatest power lifters or strongmen of all time, which is Eddie Hall over there. And like I haven't heard, and again, I'm somebody I've benched over 500 in my life. In fact, I'm going to put it out there because people might go, "Oh, he's full of shit" or whatever, and I may be, but I'm close enough to where I think I can break the world's record in the masters at my age, in my age range, for my weight class. Like even Bill Kazmaier, who's probably the godfather of powerlifting or strength training or strength athletes. And and I don't hear of them having those problems with their joints and stuff. I hear about it with bodybuilders because their fat percentage is so low, and they continue lifting weights that they probably shouldn't have with the body weight being so low. But I've not really heard about that powerlifting. I don't know. Maybe Howard has, but it's not something I've heard of.
Yeah, I'm not sure of that. I mean, I remember, Ronnie Coleman, he's had both his hips replaced, but he did more like power building. I mean, he would do the squats with 800 pounds or whatever it was for
Yeah,
reps. I think he's had like all his discs in his back fused together. So, but I don't know if it's there's positives and negatives. Exercise in itself can be damage, or you're damaging the joints in it. But the idea being, at least this is what I know of it, the positives outweigh the negatives of it. Running, as you mentioned in your previous talk, it's tougher on your joints. You're putting more pounding on it. But like in my case, for example, running would be better because now I'm getting more resistance on the bones to make them denser. Whereas somebody who's 400 pounds and very overweight, I wouldn't ask them to run. That's too much pressure on the joints.
right.
Or I would say walk. Just get out and walk. And so maybe it's a genetic thing. Maybe it has something to do with the weights. I don't know.
I think you just hit on it. I think the fact that Ronnie Coleman, as big and as strong as he was really a lightweight compared to the power lifters who would squat that kind of weight. So that extra mass, I think, helps protect the joints that Ronnie Coleman didn't have. Ronnie Coleman had a very thin abdominal section. I mean, he had hardly any, if any, fat. I mean, other than the minimal fat needed to be alive. I mean, he really was ripped even in the off seasons. And this man is taking 200-pound dumbbells and pressing them like they're nothing, and squatting 800 pounds, and without having that bulk, that mass that you would find on power lifters. I think that's what ends up hurting the joints in the long run.
The thing is, I mean, I used to go to bodybuilding gym years and years ago, and I had a guy on a podcast back along, Louis Dykes, and his dad. He used to train with what's it called, Dorian Yates, and Dorian Yates has been in his gym and that lot, and it was a proper bodybuilding gym. And Chris, the bloke that owned the gym, when he was in the gym training, getting ready for an event and stuff like, when he was training throughout the year, he'd be doing like squats, and he'd be doing bench presses, and he'd be doing his leg presses and stuff, and he just looked like a big bloke. He just looked a big chunky bloke. When he was getting ready for an event, the month building up to it, all of a sudden he was absolutely ripped, and he was massive. And I don't see the difference in what exercise they were doing in the gym as a bodybuilder to what a power lifter would do. It was all exactly the same sort of stuff. The only difference was just a month before they were going into the event, they just cut right down on the food and the amount that they drank. And I mean, is there much difference between the two, the training that they do?
Not to put on the muscle mass, no. But however, 6 months out from a contest, a bodybuilding contest, and Howard could probably speak to this more since he's actually done it and I haven't. I've never had when I used to wrestle, I had to diet down all the time. And I swore after wrestling I would never diet again. So I had no desire to bodybuild whatsoever. That's why I said powerlifting's my deal. So yes, Dorian Yates, not Ronnie, but because he was always, like I said, ripped. But Dorian Yates was at that moment when he looked like a chunk. He was a power lifter. That's how he put that mass on. When he started dying down, whether it's 6 months out or however many months before he would start cutting, those weights would become lighter and lighter, and he would start doing more and more reps.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And so even Dorian Yates, as big and strong as he was, he tended to still lift heavier than most bodybuilders will, and that's why he ended up tearing his bicep. Because, and even Jeff Magruder, who's somebody who I trained under, this guy back in the 80s, he weighed 242 pounds. He owned the world's record in the bench pressing 642 pounds at the 242-pound weight class. He beat Mike Christensen, who was a very famous bodybuilder back in the 70s. He beat him in a bodybuilding contest. And so, Jeff Magruder was one of the very first powerlifters that you would see come in who was huge, but he had a six-pack. Like most people look like Ted Arcidi who were powerlifters. They were just, big, strong, and they had a belly on them. So you didn't see a whole lot of powerlifters. Ed Cohen and those guys, those are the guys who started that whole movement. But we also saw more and more tears come along, and that's what happened to Jeff Magruder. He ended up tearing his pec one day, and that's a slow road to recovery. And I think, again, we didn't see these tears when these guys were carrying the fat around. And then as soon as they started leaning out, we started seeing more and more of those tears in powerlifting. So I do believe there's some we can say, the argument of correlation and causation, and whether that's real or not. But in my mind, I would say yes.